Hi there, I'm Anne-Maria Nicholson and welcome to the Arts Quarter, coming to you from the biggest ever exhibition of paintings by Pablo Picasso to come to Australia. Also in this quarter, the heavy hitters of the film industry gather to explore how to reverse plummeting feature film production. News of Australia's top painters, departed, glorified and fallen from grace. And Adrian Rochella talks to the inimitable Dolly Parton.
I say she may be the queen, but I'm the white trash princess.
But first, Picasso. There have been feverish scenes at the Art Gallery of New South Wales for months in the lead up to the exhibition of works from the famous National Museum of Picasso in Paris. Now it's up to the public to see whether all the fuss is justified. Pablo Picasso didn't leave a will when he died in 1973, and it's for that reason this extraordinary collection of the artist's favourite works has remained intact. The family handed them over to the French government in lieu of death taxes, and they've remained in Paris until now.
We will never see a Picasso exhibition like this in the Southern Hemisphere again. It would be impossible to do.
There's more than 150 paintings, drawings and sculptures, but the French haven't let the artworks come here out of sheer generosity. Sydney is one stop on a selective world tour that will raise tens of millions of euros towards the rebuilding of the museum that houses them in Paris. There's a strange familiarity between the oldest works, a self-portrait when the artist was just 19, to the most recent, another self-portrait when Picasso was 90. They came, they talked, but did they conquer? Film producers from around the country gathered in Sydney this month for the annual SPA conference at a turbulent time in the fickle movie business. Feature film production has plummeted, and it's only the boost in television drama that's saved the day. The story's homegrown, a slice of middle-class multicultural Australia. Yet the ABC hit series The Slap has not only won a huge audience at home, it's also hit an international nerve, including a rare sale in the hard-to-crack US market.
The Slap is selling, it's selling everywhere, right around the world. There's been a huge interest in it. It's a fascinating idea that something that's so Australian is translating so well.
After years in the doldrums, Australian producers are hungry for successes like this.
If we want to have an Australian voice, if we want an Australian audience to find Australian content, then we need to support it stronger than we do.
Screen producers are anxious to win the federal government's ear as it formulates a national cultural policy. They want increased tax offsets for all screen content to bring it into line with the 40% available only to movies.
Bring a lot more money into the industry, generate a lot of productivity, result in a lot more content.
Around 700 screen producers spent the week wrangling with the sticky issues of making what is now referred to as content for the movies, television, online and games. Convergence is the buzzword at the conference as producers face the challenge of a flood of foreign content on the internet, and they grapple with the concept of an Australian voice and whether more regulation is needed or less. There's no doubt the internet giving consumers instant access to material from all around the world has revolutionised viewing habits. The government's considering ramifications on Australian producers in its Convergence review. The opposition has its eye on it too.
The protections that were built in with TV channels and limited access to content in the pre-internet era, those limitations on foreign competition are not there anymore. So we've got to, as I said, work creatively and effectively with the industry to make sure that government support and community support fits with the times.
It wasn't all bad news for feature films. The low-budget movie Red Dog was a surprise box office hit, earning more than $20 million since it was released here 4 months ago. Producer Nelson Woss took its star, Coco, along to the SPA conference and revealed the 8-year struggle to raise finance. The West Australian mining industry saved the day, coming up with the cash and, according to Woss, with no strings attached.
The story of Red Dog, it's a true story. There really was a Red Dog. There's a statue in Dampier and he was the inspiration for a mining community. So to tell a story in the right way, I wanted to go back to the location where it takes place, and we couldn't do it without the support of the mining companies.
The producer of The King's Speech, Emile Sherman, also shared his experience. Sherman shot to international prominence after The King's Speech won a swag of international awards, including Best Film at the Oscars and the British Academy Awards, and took more than $400 million at the box office.
And I think over the last few years we've had an amazing run. You know, I think that compared to pretty much all the countries I've been to around the world, aside, you know, out of America, which really has that Hollywood export industry, we have a very high hit rate in Australia. So many of the films that are made, and we don't do a huge number of films, really find audiences at the cinemas.
The policymakers will continue to tinker with regulations, while Coco is proving how a red dog and a good yarn well told can help win the love of a nation. After months of negotiations, the fate of the rich estate of the late Margaret Olley has been decided, and there's good news in particular for the region where the artist grew up. The artist is gone, but her home is full of reminders of Margaret Olley's life. The executors of her will say the old terrace wasn't viable to become a museum, and they're finalising plans to export all the contents north to Murwillumbah. A new wing will be built as part of the Tweed River Art Gallery where the artist grew up.
It was her absolute wish that this would happen, and I'm thrilled. And the fact that it's the community where she started, you know, she was born in Lismore and grew up on the Tweed. So, you know, it comes a perfect circle.
Now that's a nice one with Charles Blackman.
For decades, the rich, the famous and the artistic came to the Paddington House in Sydney's east to visit Margaret Olley. This is where she created the still lifes that became her signature. She was renowned for giving away all the money she earned, but there's still a few million in her estate, and much will go to establish the Margaret Olley Art Centre. It will include her paintings and the minutiae of her daily life. And the nation lost another great artist recently. David Boyd, one of the members of the Boyd dynasty, died at the age of 87. David Boyd came from an artistic family of painters, sculptors, potters and musicians that stretched back 4 generations. His older brother Arthur and him grew up in Victoria and were 2 of the 5 children of William Merrick and Doris Boyd. He was a prolific artist who continued working all his life. Last year he spoke humbly about his work after lunch in his honour at Government House in Sydney.
Everybody has a natural gift. Anybody can draw or paint.
Mr. Boyd was helping plan a major new exhibition of his artwork that will be held next year. He died in Sydney surrounded by 3 generations of his family. One of Australia's most successful contemporary artists, Archibald-winning artist Adam Cullen, had a fall from grace recently, receiving a 10-month suspended jail sentence for drink driving and ordered to undertake psychiatric treatment for serious firearm offences. Mr. Cullen was charged after police arrested him 4 months ago in Crookwell in New South Wales and seized a cache of illegal weapons he said he used to create his artworks. Some would say it's long overdue, but at last there's a major survey of the work of one of our most successful painters, Tim Storrier. He's famous for his burning fences, but in this new show there's a lot more to see. These are the images that catapulted Tim Storrier into the public consciousness. The blaze lines featured in the opening of the Sydney Olympics and are sought after by galleries and collectors everywhere. But this first major survey covering 30 years of the artist's work reveals another fascination: decay and endings.
The inescapable truth that history teaches us that all civilisations decay. I'm quite attracted to this idea that everything has a span. No matter how arrogant and foolhardy the intention was, it will decay.
Tim Storrier came from the country and after spells in the city lives in rural New South Wales, where he finds much of his inspiration.
Tim is a bit of a loner. He doesn't belong to any groups or factions. He's very much his own man.
His portraits of lost loves and himself are like vaporised human beings. This self-portrait was rejected by the Archibald Prize 2 years ago, but as a former trustee himself at the Art Gallery of New South Wales, Storrier remains sanguine about the rejection.
Having been a judge, you realise that it's a sort of a tasteless abattoir, really, that paintings are thrown into. So So some of them don't make the hook.
The exhibition is at the National Trust's S.H. Irvine Gallery for a month. She laughingly calls herself the White Trash Princess. That's entertainer Dolly Parton, who's been touring Australia for the first time in 25 years. When she fronted the media, Adrienne Rochella was there to share her thoughts on life, love and losing a Dolly lookalike contest.
Hi everybody, how are you?
Dolly Parton is one megastar who knows how to make an entrance.
I'm going to be answering some questions if you have them, but I have some people I want to thank. You thought these were boobs, this is paper wads.
She says it's pretty rare for a man to look her in the eyes the first time they meet.
But I don't do anything to cover them up, so I can't blame the man.
The entertainer was on fire with her trademark self-deprecating humour.
I thought she was going to say, how long does it take to do my hair? I was going to say, I don't know, I'm never there.
And Dolly Parton knows how to deliver a one-liner.
I say, she may be the queen, but I'm the white trash princess. I think it's fun for people to get drunk and sing to my songs. I have been known to sprinkle a few rhinestones in my oatmeal.
She swears she lost a Dolly Parton impersonator contest up against drag queens.
And here comes the pygmy walking across. And I got the least applause of anybody. But we did it just for fun. So I didn't win the Dolly lookalike contest because they didn't think it was me. They just thought I was some little short, ugly boy dressed up like Dolly.
And she weighed into the equal marriage debate.
I think everybody should be allowed to be with who they love. There's not enough love in this world, so find love where you find it. And if you find it, consider yourself lucky.
Dolly Parton says she considers herself one very lucky country gal.
And that's all in this Arts Quarter. I'll leave you with more images from the extraordinary Picasso exhibition. See you again soon.